You did a Gunsmoke episode with him where you're, I hate to say, an easy woman. How would you describe your role?
Was I a hooker in that one?
You were a reformed hooker in that film with James Drury, and then somebody comes to town and you've just married him and he's
Oh,
mad.
that one, yeah. Yeah.
And she did so many, it's hard to remember. Hi, I'm Rob Word. Welcome to A Word on Westerns. We are excited today because we're honoring a couple of people who had birthdays on the same day. Not the same year, but the same day. And those are two giants. One is a movie giant, John Wayne. Yeah, Duke. Let's hear it to Duke. And the other is a giant even taller than Duke was. And that's Jim Arness, Mac Dillon on Gunsmoke. Our guest today is a lady, an actress who's done hundreds of TV shows, but 4 of them were Gunsmoke episodes. And her name is Jan Shepard.
Yes.
Jan.
Thank you.
You know, I'm so glad you're here. Morgan Woodward always told me that there's somebody who knows everything and remembers everything. And then he said, it's Jan Shepard.
Yeah, I know. He always said that to me.
He was wonderful.
Wonderful man.
Well, let me ask you, so we'll test your memory, okay?
Okay.
How about The Lone Ranger? You were in a Lone Ranger episode early on.
Yeah. I had done a few other Western things before that, but The Lone Ranger was special.
What made it special?
The mask. We're wearing them now, so you know what. He wasn't the first. I mean, he'd be bright, fit all of us right now with his mask. Yeah, and I like the Indian too.
Jay Silverheels.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know what's so interesting about Jay Silverheels? His birthday was May the 26th, just like John Wayne's and Jim Arness's.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned that.
Well, me too.
We should give him a big hand.
Big hand for Billy Tonto.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, pretty amazing, isn't it?
Pretty amazing, yes.
Well, your career is amazing. Do you remember much about Jay and Clayton Moore on that episode?
No, because it was very early in my working, and you know, I didn't want to fool around, and because I was so nervous. You know, these are the early ones. And
But Jim Best was in that too.
Yes.
Yes, he played your fiance, I
Husband.
think. Husband.
Yeah.
Well, they were kind of racy back then in The Lone Ranger, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I like James.
What was he like to work with?
Wonderful. Wonderful. I did other things with him too, I think. I can't recall what they were, but I had worked with him after that, you know.
You were also in a series that your husband, Ray Boyle, Dirk London, did, The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp with Hugh O'Brien.
I did one of his very early episodes.
You were a brunette then.
Yes.
So, were you born a blonde?
No.
Oh.
No, actually, in the summertime, I had kind of light brown hair because I'd be swimming in the pools and it was all peroxide. And I would have lighter hair. But I went for a commercial one time. They had the redhead and they had the brunette. And they needed a blonde. And I had great pictures of my this man, Paul Hesse, who used to have this photography, and he made wonderful pictures. And they said, would you dye your hair? And I said, yeah. And when I walked out to the car after the interview, my husband was like, who are you? You know, because I was so blonde then. And then it just stayed with me.
Well, it sure got you a lot of parts, but you must have hit your mark and done a great job. You played a variety of women.
The ones that say goodbye.
Oh,
and
yes.
he goes off with the horse and crying. And you know you're never going to see him again, so I don't know why they get so upset. But.
And in a Gunsmoke episode, Noose of Gold with Steve Ihnat.
Oh, what a wonderful actor. Oh, my God, that boy was a wonderful actor. And he wasn't feeling well in that show either. And he died several years after that, I remember.
Boy, he was good in it.
Yes, wonderful actor.
What made him wonderful?
Well, he's very inside, and you didn't have to say much to him or really just look at him. You know, he dies in this thing, and I'm there as he's dying, so that was tough. But he was wonderful. He wiped a tear from my face. It wasn't in the script, but he wiped a tear away from my face, and I thought that was sweet.
Well, you had nice scenes with him in that, too.
Yeah.
Very emotional scenes. He was a gunfighter, wanting to quit, of course, and live with you.
Yeah.
And you went to Matt Dillon.
And trying to get, Matt Dillon to save him because he was going to die any minute. And everyone was going to try to shoot him to take him in, And but Steve is... He's wonderful because he doesn't have to talk to you. He has to, you know what he's thinking, and that's lovely.
Well, with Arness, he always took lines out of his script and reacted more.
Yeah, wonderful man to work with. Oh my God, wonderful husband he must have been, huh? He tall. Wonderful man.
Burt Reynolds said he'd always forget how much taller Jim was than him, and
he leaned a lot. I know in several scenes with me, I'm standing at the bar, and I'm only, he's like above here like this, but he leans in to kind of make it look perfect.
Well, you did several episodes of Gunsmoke. I know the first one was with Strother Martin and Tom Reese.
Tom Reese, I did 3 shows with him, and I never was in a scene with him.
And you were in the first half-hour black and white Gunsmoke with Strother Martin.
The Trapper.
Well, you probably don't remember that because Strother kills you right away.
Yeah, I know. Strother's so good at killing people. And you hate him. Oh my God. The way he would twist his face, you just want to. He was wonderful.
One of the producers on that show, Charles Marcus Warren, he did a Rawhide episode, and I believe you were in an episode of Rawhide that he wrote before you did your first Gunsmoke. What kind of a guy was he like?
Oh, Bill was wonderful. We called him Bill. I don't know why, but
I don't either. That's so strange. I'm going to add that to my notes.
We called him Bill. But he was very good. I was having a little difficulty with the director, and he called me into his room after the first shooting and said, "Is he giving you trouble?" And I said, "No, it's okay, Bill, And he said, "Do you want me to let him go?" And I thought, who am I?
You're the blonde who said, get rid of him.
No. I said, no, absolutely not. Just, I'll work through it. He was a little difficult to work with, and I had worked with him on a waterfront, with Preston Foster in the early days. And he picked on one of the guys. He was really being a little nasty. And so I thought, it's going to start on me now. And he settled down. Yeah.
Well, in Rawhide, too, that was very early for Clint Eastwood. It made him a star.
Yeah.
What was old Clint like in those days?
Quiet. Yes, he was very, very quiet. He was. My husband had done a picture with him called "Ambush at Cimarron Pass," and Clint said he never should have done that picture. He was awful in it, awful. And he said, my husband played the scout, and my husband's was like second on the show. And he said, no, he should have done my role. He says the worst cowboy movie he's ever done. Scott Brady and Clint, yeah.
On a back lot, it seemed like most of that was shot on a sound stage too. But it came back to haunt Clint.
Oh, he hated it.
What do you think of his films once he stepped?
I think he's brilliant. I think he's a wonderful director. And I really thought that he should have won the Academy Award when he did the one with Hillary.
The $1 Million Baby.
Yes. I thought he was so good in that. So
well, the film won Best Picture, and I think he might have picked up another Best Director Oscar. I know he got one for Unforgiven.
I think he got it for $1 Million Baby.
I think he got two. He got one for Unforgiven and for $1 Million Baby.
And he acted in it. That's what he was so wonderful.
He was so good.
He's a good actor.
Morgan Freeman got an Oscar for that Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, he was wonderful too. He's always wonderful.
Yeah. That's the first time I remember Margot Martindale. Do you know who she is? Oh, she played the mother of Hillary, and she just had a couple of scenes, but she was mean.
You could want into soccer. Yeah, she was awful.
She was so good.
She was so good. She was bad. She was
a show that was also produced by Charles Marcus Warren that nobody remembers, and you did an episode of Gunslinger with Tony Young and Jock Mahoney.
Yes.
And there are only like 13 of those, so you don't see it in syndication. And I remember watching it at the time, but it was on opposite The Untouchables.
Oh, well.
So it didn't stand a chance. My dad goes, we're watching The Untouchables and see what I'm doing here. This is how you used to change the channel. Remember those days?
Oh, I remember way back.
And Frankie Lane.
I'm 95, by the way.
And Sharp has a tap.
But I'm going on 96.
Yes.
I'm hoping.
And she's going on 100.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. My husband passed away from COVID, and it was terrible. But he was 99 when he passed away, and we wanted so much for him to make it to 100, and didn't make it. But
how long were you married to Ray?
71 years.
Wow. That's almost as old as our audience.
Yeah. That's not fair.
Well, you and Ray early on, when you were still a brunette, did Death Valley days together.
Yes, we did. It was so funny because when we went there, they were putting two people in the bedroom, and we didn't say anything that we were married, and they had me as Jan Shepard with Raymond Boyle, which was for Ray used that name. And I said, and when they saw that, they went, oh my God, we made a mistake. And I said, it's okay, we're married.
Well, we're going to get married tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Oh, we were married then.
And another early classic show, Wanted, Dead or Alive. You worked with Steve McQueen in one of those too.
Yes.
I know he was stealing scenes all the time, even in that show.
Oh, he's so funny to work with. He is. He really is. He gets funny expressions. We had him in a situation where I thought the man that he found for me was dead, and he arrives with Steve McQueen. Well, naturally, we want to be together, right? And Steve McQueen is just standing there looking at us, not knowing what to say or what to answer. And I'm saying, well, do you want some coffee? And, no, and then he finally gets a message to leave, and because he knows we want to be together. Steve is a funny man to work with.
You made so many friends in the business. I know Robert Horton was a good friend, and Jim Drury, because Jim Drury did a Gunsmoke.
I've known Jimmy since 1956.
You did a Gunsmoke episode with him where you're, I hate to say, an easy woman. How would you describe your role?
Was I a hooker in that one?
You were a reformed hooker in that film with James Drury, and then somebody comes to town, and you've just married him, and he's mad.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And she did so many, it's hard to remember.
Well, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. So was that the first time you met James Drury?
No, I had met him before. We did a movie together called Third of a Man. And Jimmy was very sweet because we were on a panel one time and they asked Jimmy, what was his favorite year, and he named the year. He says the year that I did Third of a Man with me, and then he said, and they hired me to do Virginian.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That was his favorite
same year.
Same
you
year.
did 5 Virginian episodes too.
Yeah.
So seeing him again, do you think he was a part of asking for you to be on the show?
No, I don't think so at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the first one I did with Robert Lansing.
It was Robert Lansing, and his brother was Andrew Prine in that.
And my son was Kurt Russell.
Oh, yes.
He was only 12 then.
Yeah, that's an all-star cast.
When you think of how far back you go. Wow. Yes, and it was a lovely film. Richard Nelson wrote that script. A lovely film, and because he's going to hang, and I've got to say goodbye to him in the jail, and it was. Oof.
You lost a lot of boyfriends and husbands on these shows you were doing.
Cry a lot or wave goodbye.
Now, how hard is it to cry on cue?
It used to be really hard until I had a baby.
Brandon.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
But after I had him, I don't know why. In my imagination, I have to think of something kind of sad. Oh, speaking of crying, John Anderson, in a show that I did with him, he dies. He goes away, and we have a night together. You know, one of those.
Read into that what you will.
Yeah, whatever you want to think. And I don't want him to go out because I know if he goes out of the building, he's going to be killed. But he has to go out to be brave, you know. And after I done that, and I cry when I hear he has an Indian friend, and when I hear the Indian friend doing that chant that they do when someone's dead, and I know that he's dying, and tears start flowing, you know, and I turn my light out. And John told a friend of mine, he said, she's the only one who's ever cried for me. All the shows I've done where I've been shot, killed, dragged, you know, just everything. He says, only person who ever cried for me.
Well, you're so good in everything that you do, and it's always a thrill for me to have you join us. I'm so glad that you can come to share these stories. But you were telling me, because you always worked so many hours and so long, you never got a chance to go see movies, and you told me who your favorite movie star is.
Oh, I am the biggest fan of John Wayne. I really am. Yeah. The biggest fan. You know, all of you guys here who work, you know, we don't have time to think. I was doing, for 4 years, I did a soap opera. And that's going to bed at night, reading 30 pages for the next day, you know, and you don't have time to go to the movies. And so I really haven't seen a lot of John Wayne's movies, and now, since I'm old, I've got to see I'm the biggest fan there is. If there's a John Wayne movie from 1934, I'll watch it. Because I just love John Wayne. He makes me laugh. And I don't understand it, but there's always a moment in every movie he ever does that he does something stupid or silly, and it makes me laugh. And I just, big fan. I love them.
You make me laugh, and I don't cry when you're here. I just, you make me smile. Jan, let's have it for Jan Shepard.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.